So if you have a GE Monogram stove and you get an F9 error code, the internet tells you a bunch of interesting things. It says door lock. Door lock's the problem. Change the door lock. If it's not the door switch, maybe maybe it's the wires on the door switch. But I seem to think that's wrong.
Are they wrong?
I think they're wrong 100%. Sometimes they're wrong.
This is your problem right here. Do me a favor and like the video if you find this helpful. So this right here is known as the reed switch, or the fan speed sensor. This is the fan. The fan is a cooling fan. It gets all the heat from inside the stove away from all the components. Now that little switch right there tells the unit that the fan is working. To make matters worse, I had a broken door lock on top of it. So when I first Googled it, it said F9 error door lock. So that little pin right there is broken off. It melted. This is a good door lock with the pin, and I bypassed the pin and it still didn't work. So I was curious as to why the F9 would be a door lock. So I bought a door lock anyway because we had to replace it. So you take out those 2 screws, you line up the new door lock, you put the 2 screws in. Once you get them nice and secure and straight, you take the old door lock with all the wires and you go one by one. Plug it in, make sure you didn't mix the wires up, and then put it back in place. There's 2 screws there, it screws right in, and we're gonna test it. Let's see what happens now. So the internet was wrong. It said door lock all over the place. What's next? The control board. It's the only part left, and it's not available.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong.
Now, if you have a regular GE stove, the F9 is normally the door lock or computer. But this is a GE Monogram. It's totally different set of codes. So let's fix it. On the back panel, there's these screws, and they look like this. All those screws, you gotta remove them. There's about 6 or 8 of them all around, and there's 2 on the bottom hidden. There's 1 right there and 1 that I removed. Once you take that off, the back panel comes off. This is the computer board. This is over $300, 2-month wait, and we're not changing that today. That's not how we're gonna fix this. On this unit, the F9 means that the fan's not running, or the fan switch is not actually reading the speed of the fan. Behind this aluminum piece right here, there's 2 screws. That comes off and the fan comes off. This is the switch that's on the unit. It's covered in grease, and that switch looks like it exploded. That little glass right there, or it's covered in grease. Maybe you can clean it, maybe you can take it out and use some alcohol, but I didn't know what this was gonna look like. And look at the back of this thing, just covered in grease and dust. So I swapped it out with the good one. And as a bonus, I also changed this RTD probe. That's a temperature sensor. It's held in by all of these little clips right here, and it plugs in right there. So you can't pull it through the front. You have to cut all those off and pull it out. Then I snake the new one in. I come around the back of the unit and I fetch it. I plug it in, and then I screw in the RTD probe. This is your temperature sensor. This tells the unit how hot it is. The customer complained that the oven was too hot sometimes. Now we plug it in, and we're good to go on that. I'm not sure if you could tell, but I'm doing this all one-handed while I'm holding the phone, so it's not the best to record. I couldn't get myself doing the fan or the switch or putting the panel on and off, but you gotta trust me. I changed the fan and the switch. The switch sits right in front of the fan, and it reads the propeller as it goes by. So now we're gonna test it out. The purpose of this video is to prove that the F9 on every GE is not the same. On the GE Monogram, and we don't want to cook that screwdriver, so let's get that out of there. The F9 on this unit just so happens to be the fan not running, cooling fan. 2 things could cause that: a bad fan or that little reed switch not working. Last time it got to 225 and tripped the error. Let's see what happens now. Please like the video. I wasn't able to find this anywhere online, so as far as I know, I'm the only one with this information. Well, at this point I knew we were good. I showed the customer, he was extremely happy. He was doing research and kept insisting it was the door switch, especially that the door switch was broken. I tried to explain that the internet sometimes just gets it wrong. They're not at the place, they can't test the things on their own, they can't figure it out. They're just going by the book, and sometimes the book is wrong. And in this case, the book don't even belong to this stove. Now listen to that fan. It's nice and quiet. Sometimes that fan gets weighted down by all that grease and dust and doesn't spin fast enough, and that switch detects that. Or sometimes the switch is defective or dirty. So if you change the fan and the switch, you should be good. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments below, you have an experience like this, just reach out and talk about it in the comments. I'd like to hear from other people, other techs, or some customers. Or if you own any of those blogs that were saying the F9 is for the Monogram, I suggest you update that information. It's very hard to find the booklet for this stove. I was able to track down a website that had the F9 for the GE Monogram stove, and that led me in this direction. So I was very happy to find that. But if you have a blog or a website or a video, please update this information so it could help other people. Thank you.